Hi, friends. Good morning. It's Saturday, the 20th of August, 2016. I'm Anna Koyman. This is Fox and Friends Weekend. And Donald Trump puts pressure on President Obama to head to flood-ravaged Louisiana.
The spirit of the people is incredible. And honestly, Obama ought to get off the golf course and get down there.
Well, the president responded. He'll be heading there next week. But where's Hillary Clinton? The latest from the campaign trail straight ahead.
Plus, Hillary Clinton will be forced to answer questions about her personal email server under oath. This as she tries to throw General Colin Powell under the bus. The feud between the two breaking out this morning. We've got details.
And everyone stay calm and stop saying man.
I'm freaking out, man. You are freaking out, man.
One Ivy League school is freaking out over the use of words that aren't gender neutral. Fox and Friends starts right now.
Oh, boy.
Well, good morning. It is Saturday morning at the end of August, and we are glad to see you. We're going to start this morning with some sad but wonderful news. Our friend, our co-anchor, Anna Koyman, is moving on to a brand new life adventure. We want to tell you about it.
Yeah, so my husband has landed a big job in Australia. He's from Sydney, and we are moving there. His first day at Tulla is October 1st.
So wait, this is amazing.
I know my heart is racing right now. I can't believe I'm stepping away from this amazing job. And
Start out the show with Anna crying. This is a really smart move. 4 hours of
We
this.
promised each other no lip quivering, though.
So we want I know that people who watch the show regularly already know this, because you can tell what people are like if you watch them long enough, but Anna Koyman is as sweet as she seems, as wonderful as she seems, and as great to sit next to as she seems.
Oh, thank you.
And you'll be sorely missed. She brings such a light and a happiness to the show, and it's going to be sad to see you leave.
I'm going to London.
You are the most energetic person I've ever worked next to.
I have to say a big thank you to Bill Shine and Suzanne Scott and Diane Brandy and our fearless leader of the show, Lauren Pedersen, who's a TV genius. And
that's for sure.
I just thank you so much for being so understanding. This is the right thing for me to do for my family. We're planning on possibly starting our family once we get there.
So you're going to be on the beach, of course. You're going to be raising baby. This is fantastic. So, and it's not just like some small move down south. You're moving to Australia. You're the exact opposite end of the globe.
And we do have a fur baby. You know, we have our Baxter Bear, who's the love of my life. Before Tim stepped into the picture, our yellow lab, and the quarantine process is so stringent in Australia that I'm going to have to be without him for a few months.
So when is this happening?
My last day is Labor Day.
That's unbelievable. We'll be here.
Way to start off the show.
And you have a guest room, and Clayton and I will be down there to visit you soon on Bondi Beach.
Yes, please come down.
Oh, we will.
Right,
we just invited ourselves. We'll be there.
All right, and Mom and Dad, please come visit too, and Michael and Molly, my brother and sister-in-law.
Well, thank you so much, Anna. Well, we've got other news to get to this morning. In fact, we want to head down to flood-ravaged Louisiana, picking up the pieces this morning after this week's disastrous flooding.
Donald Trump flew down to offer his support to people who lost everything, and he's pushing the vacationing President Obama, to do the very same. Our own Kristen Fisher is live in Washington. The latest on this story. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning. Yeah, Donald Trump is making it very clear that he believes the president and presidential candidates should not be on vacation in Martha's Vineyard, but in Louisiana with the people who are suffering from these devastating floods. Trump made his case yesterday while touring the state with his running mate, despite the Democratic governor's plea for politicians to stay out. He characterized Trump's visit as nothing more than a photo op, while Trump argued that he was just there to help.
The spirit of the people is incredible. The devastation, likewise, they've never seen anything like it. But the spirit of the people is incredible. And honestly, Obama ought to get off the golf course and get down there.
Now, President Obama has been playing a lot of golf. He's still on vacation in Martha's Vineyard. He's planning to tour Louisiana on Tuesday. That's when the White House says is the, quote, appropriate time to visit. Quote, the president is mindful of the impact that his travel has on first responders and wants to ensure that his presence does not interfere with ongoing recovery efforts. Well, Hillary Clinton issued a similar statement on Facebook, essentially calling Trump's visit a distraction. Quote, right now, the relief effort can't afford any distractions. The very best way that this team can help is to make sure Louisianans have the resources they need. Well, yesterday, Clinton was off the campaign trail, so Trump jumped on Twitter to weigh in on the Where's Hillary hashtag, which was trending. He said, quote, where's Hillary? Sleeping. Well, It turns out she was actually out at dinner in Martha's Vineyard celebrating her husband and former President Bill Clinton's 70th birthday. But, Anna, I'm still in shock over your big news. I can't even believe I actually haven't had the pleasure of meeting you really in person.
Well, I'll make you a Vegemite sandwich if you come and see me.
See, now all these people are going to come out of the woodwork to come down to Australia and want to see
Exactly.
Kristen,
Stay with Anna.
Oh, you're going to be missed.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks, Kristen.
So the response to Donald Trump's appearance in Louisiana came fast and furious yesterday. And actually, some Democrats coming to say, hey, thank you for Mary Landrieu, Senator of Louisiana, coming to say, hey, thank you for coming to this state and showing your support for this state, putting the eye of the media where it needs to be on this state, and criticizing President Obama.
Yeah, really seeming presidential, and this coming on the heels of that big speech he gave in Charlotte, North Carolina, that folks said may have been his best one yet. And he's out there with the volunteers, thanking them, hugging the victims. 13 people in Louisiana died. This is the biggest natural disaster that they have faced since Hurricane Katrina, and the biggest one in the U.S. since Superstorm Sandy. And for the president not to be there, Tucker.
It's a little weird. Here's former Senator Mary Landrieu, again, a very partisan Democrat, assessing the situation. Watch this.
I want to thank Mr. Trump for coming to Louisiana. I think the governor's admonition about not using it as a press op is a good one, but he brought attention to our state, and we need that now, because this disaster, Brianna, is far larger than people can appreciate on television. It is really a serious disaster, and I hope, Secretary Clinton will make her way down. I hope President Obama will make a visit, and, we need all the attention and help we can get.
So what's so interesting to me is why the president isn't there. He's on Martha's Vineyard. You got to ask yourself, 85,000 people displaced? Mm-hmm. If this were happening in the Central Valley of California to migrant farm workers, or if it was happening in the city of Detroit, would the president really remain on Martha's Vineyard with his Hollywood friends playing golf? I don't think so. Well, the reason is these are not his voters. Louisiana is not a swing state.
That's a great
If it was a meaningful state in this presidential election, he would be there. And this is a metaphor for the way he's treated the country, selectively.
And his approval rating, Clayton, is over 50% right now. Right. And so maybe he's not worried about that, and he thinks that Hillary Clinton is doing well in the polls, too. Is that what he's doing?
It's his last year, but he was quick to criticize President George W. Bush during Katrina. So historically, if you look at the context there, remember that famous photo of President George W. Bush not landing in Louisiana, but flying over, and he was looking out the window that the White House press office released, that photo. And he was criticized for seeming disconnected from it, and criticized for not landing there. It took him a few days to get there. There's the famous photo. And even Hillary Clinton criticized President George W. Bush during that you can't find him anywhere. Where is he? And both Hillary Clinton and President Obama have not made their appearance. But I'm of two minds of this. I mean, anyone who's covered these events, you've covered them, we've all covered these flood events, and the governor has asked the president to stay away because of the security measures, and it is a distraction, and they don't have the resources right now. So you have the White House, you have Air Force One landing, you have Secret Service. You know what it's like to shut down Washington D.C. when the president drives through the streets.
That's. I mean, look, these are symbolic visits. They may not accomplish anything. John Bel Edwards, the governor of Louisiana, said this after the president said this was cover for the president. Right, they're of the same party. Again, I would just bring back to the core point, which is, if this were happening in Detroit, if this were happening in the Central Valley, would the president be there? Of course he would be there, because those are his voters. This is all political. And by the way, why is the president on Martha's Vineyard?
Here's the other thing.
It's like a parody of a limousine liberal, really.
If he is not going to go down there because of the security measures, and if there is an argument there to be made that it would cause a distraction with all the security, then why not do something big and beam in on Skype with some volunteers or with some local leaders and do something to show
that looks worse.
That he really cares.
I don't know. That almost reminds me of the George W. Bush photo flying over. You want to beam in from Skype from Martha's Vineyard.
Well, how about the optics of him playing golf with Larry David in Martha's Vineyard?
Well, I think the whole thing is,
Has any president sucked up to famous people more than this president does? I mean, he's constantly having dinner with Beyonce. Nobody ever says that. What is that about? I mean, it's so small time and embarrassing, I think.
I guess they didn't learn their lesson after the James Foley beheading. I mean, that looked bad, and it was just, what, an hour after or something?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's wind the clock back to 2007, that Hillary Clinton ad that I was mentioning. She was slamming George W. Bush back in 2007 because of his response to Katrina. Listen.
If you're stuck on a rooftop or stranded at the Superdome during a hurricane, you're invisible to this president, even when you're on CNN.
Yeah. So that actually, you could argue about whether that's fair or not. I was at Katrina when all this happened. I mean, you could argue the facts of it. The truth is that really hurt Bush big time. His numbers never recovered from that. It hurt McCain in the 08 election 3 years later. Bush's approval rating did. People want the president to be engaged and empathetic, and the perception that he wasn't hurt him.
Yeah, I mean, politics is all about optics, and so whether or not the few hours that Trump spent there taking things off of a truck actually did anything, you know, he's there, he's showing, he's able to then contextualize that in a speech a few hours later in Michigan. He's able to say, I was there, I got to see it. That's powerful.
If 85,000 people were displaced in Pennsylvania or Colorado, or a state that's going to make a difference in the fall, Hillary Clinton would move there full time. That's just true.
I hadn't thought about that.
Let us know your thoughts about it. I'd love to hear our viewers' thoughts on this. Friends@foxnews.com. You can weigh in on that.
On to some other stories that are making headlines this Saturday morning, and we'll start with this one. She hasn't held a press conference in over 250 days. You know who we're talking about. So this will have to do for now. Hillary Clinton now being ordered to answer questions in writing about her private email server while Secretary of State. The court order is part of a request by the watchdog group Judicial Watch to question her. Meanwhile, former Secretary of State Colin Powell is denying Clinton's claims that he advised her to use that private server. U.S. Olympic swimmer Gunnar Bentz blaming Ryan Lochte for the gas station fiasco in Rio. Bentz releasing an apology saying the four teammates never vandalized the gas station bathroom. And when they went to leave, he says Lochte pulled down a sign and then they were confronted by security. He says this, quote, I cannot speak to his actions, but Ryan stood up and began to yell at the guards, but no physical contact was made. Well, Bentz says he and teammate Jimmy Fegan paid $50 for damages and then they left. And Lochte has now hired a Justin Bieber PR rep to help him out of this PR mess. And it certainly is. And the Zika danger zone expanding in Florida now. Officials are flagging South Beach in Miami as a hot spot for the virus, identifying 5 new cases that were locally contracted. Miami's Wynwood Art District also flagged as dangerous. There are now 36 local cases in Florida. And those are your headlines.
Well, coming up, the video is incredible. A hero cop puts his life on the line to save a man from a car about to explode.
Need a fire extinguisher or a garden hose! Get a garden hose!
Wait until you see how that ends.
And then both campaigns rolled out new ads yesterday in battleground states, but whose message resonates best with voters? Lee Carter has the answer, as always, and she's here next.
In Hillary Clinton's America, the system stays rigged against Americans. Syrian refugees flood in. Illegal immigrants convicted of committing crimes get to stay, collecting Social Security benefits, skipping the line. Our border open, it's more of the same, but worse. Donald Trump's America is secure. Terrorists and dangerous criminals kept out. The border secure. Our families safe. Change that makes America safe again. Donald Trump for president.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Hey everyone, and good morning. Yesterday, Donald Trump rolled out his first ad for the general election as Hillary Clinton took to the airwaves to make her case to families, focusing on her commitment to children. But how will they be received? Lee Carter is a pollster and partner at Lansky and Partners and gave the latest ads her grade. Good morning.
Good morning.
So in the last couple of months, Hillary Clinton has spent $61 million on TV ads. Donald Trump has spent goose egg until he just rolled out these ads in the big swing states. Let's take a look at this. It is an ad about immigration. Watch.
In Hillary Clinton's America, the system stays rigged against Americans. Syrian refugees flood in. Illegal immigrants convicted of committing crimes get to stay, collecting Social Security benefits, skipping the line. Our border open, it's more of the same, but worse. Donald Trump's America is secure. Terrorists and dangerous criminals kept out. The border secure. Our families safe. Change that makes America safe again. Donald Trump for president.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
What do you think?
So I think Democrats are going to hate this ad, and they're going to talk about how he's inspiring fear in Americans. But I think the bottom line here is that independents and Republicans are probably going to give this around an A-. I think it's a pretty effective ad because it shows the fear that people have, but then how he's going to fix it. It shows both sides. And I think it's going to give people that are concerned about security, concerned about immigration, I think it's going to give them that feeling that Donald Trump is going to keep them safe. This is the kind of stuff that he needs to be doing. And I think that having the advertisements and having surrogates in talking about the negative side of things, and him coming out as more presidential as he had this week is a really smart strategy.
Yeah, maybe it's part of the campaign shakeup with the new leadership. Next up, let's watch this ad from Hillary Clinton saying, "I'm the steady hand, you can depend on me."
We go to work because others depend on us. Hillary Clinton gets it. Standing up for families and children has been her life's work. Under her plan, working parents get relief from the cost of childcare and a path to debt-free college, equal pay for women, and paid time off to care for family. Building an economy that works for everyone, not just those at the top, because we're stronger together.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
Nice, happy music, but does it have enough punch?
I think it's a fairly typical, safe political ad. I don't think we're going to look at this and think we see anything new about Hillary Clinton, that we're going to learn anything new. I think ultimately people are just going to give this about a C. It's a ho-hum kind of ad. It's motherhood, it's apple pie, it's something that you feel like you've seen before. But I think that's part of Hillary Clinton's strategy right now. I think she's just playing everything safe, going straight down the middle, and hoping that Donald Trump is going to do his own damage. I think that she's just got her head down and trying to move things forward.
And finally, an ad from Donald Trump's super PAC. This ad, America Soaring.
Skilled craftsmen and tradespeople and factory workers have seen the jobs they love shipped thousands of miles away. It doesn't have to be this way. We can turn it around. It will be American steel, just like the American steel that built the Empire State Building, that will fortify America's crumbling bridges. It'll be American steel that rebuilds our inner cities. It'll be American steel that sends our skyscrapers soaring.
Hoping to capitalize on those blue-collar workers. Is it effective?
I think it's a very effective ad. I think Republicans and independents are going to give this an A+. I would even think that Democrats are going to give this a C, which is rare when you see them all coming together in some way, shape, or form. What I think ultimately this is about is bringing back American jobs, bringing back, I'm sure this is going to really hit well in the Rust Belt and Pennsylvania and places like that. It is a smart strategy. Jobs, the economy, the number one and number two issues among American voters. I think it's a really smart and well done ad.
Yeah, a lot of folks vote with their wallets.
Yeah,
Lee Carter,
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Great to be here.
20 minutes after the hour on a Saturday morning, and here's what's coming up on the show. He's been arrested while leading Black Lives Matter protests, and now he's getting a new gig. Teaching your kids politics? Plus, they were welcomed into America with open arms, offered free public school. Well, now these refugees say it's not good enough, and they're suing. Do they actually have a case? A fair and balanced legal debate is coming up. Come on in, guys.
Well, some quick headlines for you this morning. First up, one of the most prominent Black Lives Matter activists trades handcuffs for a fellowship. Dearie McKesson is heading to the Windy City to serve as a fellow at the University of Chicago, former home of President Obama, their Institute of Politics there. Despite multiple arrests, he's already making $165,000 a year recruiting teachers for Baltimore school districts. And Bernie is back, sort of. The Vermont Senate will be launching a new organization next week. It's called Our Revolution, which is a little scary. He says it's an effort to transform American society and help progressive political candidates across this country. Clayton?
All right, thanks, Tucker. Well, America's welcoming refugees with open arms and free education. But apparently that's not good enough. 6 refugees at the Phoenix Academy, that's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, are suing the school district because they feel that they deserve the very best education. The angry students claim they were dumped at a school for underachieving students and should be transferred to a school with better academic program. The school district says the lawsuit has no merit, but do these students have a case? To debate this, let's bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno and defense attorney Keisha Hebon. Nice to see both of you this morning.
Nice to see you too.
I mean, when I first read this story, I said they've got to be joking. But at the heart of it, there's actually legal merit to this case, Keisha?
Absolutely, because although they're refugees, they should have the same type of classification as regular students have in that district. So they're dumped in an alternative school, where they're children with behavioral problems. They have to be pat down every day to get into school. They should not be subjected to that if they don't have those same issues.
But they just came from war-torn Syria. So they're coming to a school, they're getting a free education in this community of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, not the most affluent community, David, and they're having, on the backs of taxpayers. I just find it hard to believe that they have a legal case, that they can actually bring this. They're being backed by the ACLU, by the way, right?
I found it hard to believe as well. I mean, that was my initial reaction. But let's not forget about the overall immigration policy that is worthy of this discussion, because we are accepting these refugees, and the first point always made is on national security. But let's not forget the negative impact that this has on our local governments, our school boards, because these students do not speak English. They are trying to accommodate the best they can to give them the translation services and the modifications to the curriculum to accommodate these individuals.
But even a regular high school would have ESL classes, and again, they should not receive substandard education. Once we accept them as refugees, we need to give them the same opportunities as other students have.
So it's interesting, I found this interesting, that they're 17 to 21 years old. So most of the kids obviously go to high school. They're there until maybe they're 17 or 18, and they're off to college or some other trade. These kids are 17 and 21. And here's a statement from the ACLU representing these refugees. Our clients have already experienced much trauma and loss before arriving in this country. Rather than helping them make the difficult adjustment, the school district has denied them an education completely or forced them into an alternative school where they're often bullied and don't learn. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I make that they're sympathetic individuals, and the ACLU is taking advantage of that. This school board has provided a free education, and that is the right that the students have. And they've provided it in a school that is able to give them services, period.
What about this community? You know, this community stood up and said, we'll take these refugees in. And so now they can get sued?
Well, if they're not giving them what they're entitled to, if they're violating their rights as human beings and stating, okay, just because you're a refugee, you have to go to an alternative school where you have nothing to do with the issues designed for that school.
But I'm curious about the legal, I mean, I guess I don't understand, if not an American citizen, what legal rights do they have?
Well, they're not citizens, but they're still entitled to certain things. We can't say we'll take you in and treat you like you're crap. You have to still treat them like human beings, and they need to be classified just like other students are.
Yeah, make no question about it. Even as refugees, non-citizens, they are entitled to a free public education. And that's the state and federal laws. You know, and an additional point that's interesting is that even in this lawsuit, the plaintiffs are saying that the school that they want to go to is not properly equipped to handle their services. They want interpreters. They want modifications to the curriculum. They want changes that are ultimately going to be in the taxpayers'
What's amazing, because,
responsibility.
you know, our schools are suffering as it is. Teachers don't get paid enough, and now we need interpreters to handle Syrian refugees. I mean, look, we all have a big heart and want to help these children because it's horrible what's happening there. But at the end of the day, American taxpayers footing the bill for this. Thanks for joining us, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, coming up here on the show, an incredible life-saving rescue caught on camera.
Need a fire extinguisher or a garden hose? Get a garden hose!
Wait until you hear how that ends. And back to a big week for Donald Trump.
Believe it or not, I regret it. And I do regret it. Particularly where it may have caused personal pain.
We had a big week for Donald Trump. An apology without specifics, a tour of Louisiana, new campaign managers. Is he where he needs to be to win? Our political panel weighs in on all of that. Coming up next.
We should only admit into this country those who share our values and respect our people. We will once again be a country of law and order. Sometimes, in the heat of debate and speaking on a multitude of issues, you don't choose the right words or you say the wrong thing. I have done that, and believe it or not, I regret it. I will never lie to you. I will never put any other interest before you, and I will never, ever stop fighting for you.
Donald Trump entering what looks like a new phase of his campaign, looks a lot more presidential, reassuring some of his supporters. This as the nominee took a trip to flood-stricken Louisiana, where 85,000 people have been forced from their homes. His campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, meanwhile, resigned. So where is the Trump campaign today? Is it as good as it looks? Here with reaction, our terrific political panel, Morgan Ortegas, a political strategist and national co-chair of Maverick PAC, Scott Rasmussen, political analyst and president of Rasmussen Media Group, and Amiki Konst, host of The Filter on Sirius XM Progress. That's the left side of your dial. It's great to see you all this morning.
Thanks for pointing that out.
So, Morgan,
yes.
This last couple of days is the first time in a long time when the Trump campaign seems to be kind of hitting on all cylinders. Is it?
Well, it couldn't have been a worse month, so he needed these past few weeks. A few months ago, I said Trump needs a woman at the top of the campaign, and I think the Kellyanne Conway hire was brilliant. I've been on with her a lot at Fox. She's written a book on how to get women to vote for candidates, and the polls are what the polls are. He has a problem with women voters, and I think what women want to hear was a more conciliatory tone that he took this week. So good for Kellyanne Conway, good hire, smart move by the campaign to get rid of Manafort. Because listen, if you're getting $12 million in cash from the Russians, that doesn't need to be in the headline. So.
Well, why else would you work for the Russians unless they're paying you $12 million?
That's true.
It didn't shock me.
Hopefully it was
you're not doing it to like help Russia. But Scott, I mean, it seems to me nobody wants to vote for Hillary. They just have to be assured that Trump isn't a monster. He's just got to meet the human threshold. Is he doing that?
Well, you might be overstating a bit when you say nobody wants. Nobody wants to vote for Hillary. No, I think what's happened in this last month is Donald Trump has been digging himself a really deep hole. In the last week, he stopped digging. That's a good sign. It's not enough to win. I think the reason he's still an outsider, he's still an outside chance of winning, he's got a couple things going for him. One, Hillary Clinton is a weak candidate, viewed unfavorably by most people, has a tendency to be politically tone deaf. Second, the mood of the country is looking for change. Having said that, it's still an uphill fight for Donald Trump.
So, Namiki, Trump went down to Louisiana. 85,000 people kicked out of their homes because of this flooding. The president didn't go. He's on Martha's Vineyard. If this flooding had happened in Detroit, a city full of Obama voters in a swing state, do you really think Obama would have sat it out golfing in Martha's Vineyard? I don't think so. He just doesn't care about these people because they're not voting for him.
I don't think that's true at all.
Really?
I think
if this happened in Detroit,
I'm
you
not
think the
going to
president would stay in Martha's Vineyard?
I'm not going to defend this move at all. Well, listen, it was Louisiana. It's not that long ago that we had Hurricane Katrina, and there is historical reference for him to act on. I completely agree. He should have done something, at least, as Anna said earlier today, at least show up in a video, at least send some sort of message out. I think it was a little tone deaf. I think that all leaders are having a difficulty right now about their responsiveness, just because there's leadership has become institutionalized. You have 45 people around you advising you to go this way or that way, and it's an election year, and Hillary Clinton was there. I completely agree with you. He should have responded.
Yeah, it's still, but why Martha's?
And it was a brilliant move by Donald Trump. I'm going to give him that. But it's not enough to close out those polls.
No, I'm not saying it is, but what is it about Martha's Vineyard? What is it about liberals who spend the time, I'm serious, lecturing us about our moral inferiority, they care so much, and then they go on vacation exclusively with rich people in their private planes, sucking up to Hollywood people and hedge fund managers? What is it about limousine liberals that lacks all self-awareness?
I've never been to Martha's Vineyard.
Because you're a sincere lefty, but he's not. He's like the rest.
Maybe there'll be an Obama Foundation after all. But seriously, maybe that's what he's planning, because this is the Clinton donor base.
He is planning one, and it's going to lecture us on race relations.
And by the way, on the whole foundation issue, one of the problems that you're running into right now, another example of Hillary Clinton's weakness, they announced that she's not going to accept donations from foreign governments if she's elected president. What about right now?
Or she was Secretary of State at one point, was she not?
Well,
and she was taking all this money from foreign governments.
Well, not directly. The Clinton Foundation has announced that they're not going to receive any foreign donor money or foreign corporate money. So that would be like the Barclays Group sponsoring some sort of initiative in Africa. So that's 50% of the Clinton Foundation.
A little more than 50%.
53%.
It's horrifying.
But yeah,
Thank you. I'm being told we're out of time.
No.
Let's have breakfast. I know. I keep going.
Let's go to Martha's Vineyard for breakfast.
Never. Thank you, all three. It was great to see you this morning. Anna B. Koyman.
All right, Tucker, thanks. Yeah, and the Boston Globe has exposed some loopholes in that self-imposed ban. We'll get to that in about 20 minutes. Thanks, Tucker. All right, some other stories that are making headlines. The same week President Obama releases 15 Gitmo detainees, a former prisoner is arrested and charged with being a top ISIS recruiter. Abu Nassim was arrested in Libya just days after the State Department claimed very few Gitmo detainees ever returned to terror. So how many is a few? Well, the Pentagon claims more than 200 of those released have joined the terrorist ranks. An unbelievable body cam video showing a hero cop risking his life to rescue a man from a burning car.
Look at me. Go. Get it. I need a fire extinguisher or a garden hose. Get a garden hose. Give it a look. Give it a look. Come on, man. Slide back in. Can you get back? Go back in.
Georgia officer Dan Whitney using all of his might to free that man. It was too late for the driver, but the passenger did survive. And husbands are sharing their brutally honest experiences while venting about their wives online, and of course it's all going viral. Josh says this: before I got married, I didn't even know there was a wrong way to put milk back in the fridge. And Kent says, I don't understand how God can have 10 commandments for the whole world and my wife can have 152 just for our house. And Just Bill says, if my wife ever hired a private detective to follow me, it would be to get pictures of me not using the coupons I said I'd used. So all the wives out there, it's your turn to fire back. We want to hear from you. Send us your comments, friends at foxnews.com, or hit us up on social media.
It's your turn to fire back. Yeah, so you've never fired back before. But this is your one chance.
Right. Husband shaming. Jump on in.
Yeah. Like, my husband gets on me every time I load the dishwasher. I just throw everything in there. And then he has to go back in and make sure everything's all
line
neat
it
and
all
tidy.
up. We've all.
That's a minor sin. Janice Dean joins us this morning. Janice is the happiest morning person who's ever lived. Good morning, Janice.
I'm even happier because we have so much ice cream here on the plaza today.
Yummy,
For
yummy.
what? If you're in New York City, 48th and 6th is where it's at. These are Dippin' Dots. There's this new flavor here, the raspberry sherbet. 28 years Dippin' Dots has been around, if you can believe it. It's one of my favorites. We're going to be doing ice cream all morning long, so join us. Now, let's take a look at the maps. It's still summertime. It feels like summertime. It is ice cream time here in New York City. 75 degrees, but it feels even more humid than that. We do have a cold front, as you can see, moving across the central U.S. There's the current heat index, in some cases a little bit, feels a little warmer than that. Summertime, and taking a look at the radar, we do have the potential for showers and thunderstorms, especially across the Great Lakes. We could see some severe weather today. And of course, we are watching Louisiana and Texas for the potential of more flooding today. Devastating historic flooding across Louisiana. Looks like the bullseye is going to be around central Texas for forecast precipitation through Tuesday, so watching that area. River gauges, of course, the rivers continue to rise here around the Baton Rouge area. Just devastating floods. And we, of course, our hearts and prayers out to all those folks. Large wildfires across the west. That's where we need the moisture and the precipitation, not getting enough of it. And those are the headlines we're going to be following today. And the headlines for me is going to be ice cream. Janice Dean, the ice cream machine.
The ice cream machine.
It's happening.
6:40 in the morning, East Coast time.
Never too early.
Thanks,
5 o'clock somewhere. Thanks, Janice.
Well, Google wants to help you vote, but could the internet giant actually affect the upcoming election?
Well, sure, that'll be good for democracy. Plus, the PC police taking it to a whole new level. Princeton, which is a college in New Jersey, has scrubbed the word man from campus, banning it, including the word forefather.
What?
Pete Hegseth went to Princeton. He's here to react ahead.
Well, welcome back. Google wants to help you vote. So when you Google how to vote, the search engine now provides all the information on when, where, and how to vote according to your state. But could the leading tech giant be interfering with our election?
Joining us now to talk about it, Kurt, the cyber guy. Good morning.
Anna, good morning to you, Clayton. Good to see you. Why are you laughing, Tucker?
Because if there's one company I don't trust at all, it's Google.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. They're in my book as well, sort of the big brother that's coming into all of us. And we're talking about this morning, though, a big effort at Google going on to get to people who don't quite understand where the nearest polling place is, how to sign up to vote. And, well, frankly, it works pretty good. Take a look at this. You simply type in on Google how to vote, and rather than end up at maybe a state or local government website that would be difficult and clunky to navigate, which, you know, vast majority of them are, they've made this plain English thing come together right here where you can find out based on your location. It shows us here in New York where we are, shows us where our nearest polling place is, the hours that it'll be open. It shows you how to sign up, what requirements are needed to vote. Like, do you need a driver's license? Can you just bring a utility bill, etc.?
Do we know where they're pulling this data from? Is it state websites?
They have their own team inside of Google. I would imagine they didn't talk about methodology, but I would imagine they're going to the sources of each state or local municipality and voting websites to find this data out, verify it. So far, everything we looked at was spot on accurate.
So they didn't talk methodology. Why would that be? I mean, this is something that affects the who runs our government.
I'll tell you now. I think methodology would only come into play here as if it weren't right. So I mean, it's you and I like looking in the phone book and figuring this information out
with us.
Well, I don't know that. It may be deep down inside. I didn't go looking for methodology. So the truth is, it's not that it's just methodology is not out front of their message here. It's about simplifying the voting process. And if you don't want to go in person, how to sign up to do it via the mail. So all of this data is there. And then it leads us to this question, like, what does that mean? Does it mean now that one particular group in a party is now more likely to vote, or does it mean that another group is less likely to vote? I don't know. Here's what I know is more information is probably good. Allowing people to know where to vote is probably good. It'll be interesting to see who shows up. What we do know for sure is that interest in many states about how to vote in searches compared to 2012 is up 323% this year. It's crazy. Crazy numbers.
Well, I mean, yeah, they don't share their algorithm, but it'd be interesting to see if there are certain polling places left off of their information. Certain ones are, kept on there.
We'll find out in December.
It's fluid, right. We'll find out after the election. Exactly.
All right.
Perfect. All right, guys.
Kurt the Cyber Guy, thank you.
Donald Trump trying to steal one of Hillary Clinton's secret weapons.
I'm asking for the vote of every single African American citizen.
That's the message. Will it work for the Republican nominee? The great Chris Stirewalt is here to weigh in on that next hour.
Plus, the PC police taking it to a whole new level. Princeton now scrubbing the word man from campus. Even the word forefathers is a no-no. Pete Hegseth, a Princeton alum, is here to react next.
And he's a man. Yes, he is.
They're coming for you. The PC police turning Princeton University into a literal no man's land. A language guide at the Ivy League school urging employees to drop the word man in favor of more gender-inclusive style guidelines, like referring to mankind as humankind. Wait, isn't man in humankind?
So here to weigh in is someone who actually went to Princeton, which is a college in New Jersey. It's Pete Hegseth, who, despite going there, is very well educated. Pete, it's great to see you. I guess the first thing that jumps out at me is how frivolous and dumb this is. You think of Princeton as a very serious place. There are a lot of smart people, including you, who went there. But this seems like not relevant at all to educating kids, which is the point of Princeton, right?
Well, of course. Princeton has traditionally been not conservative, but a little bit more traditional, not a hotbed of radicalism. But this is the inevitable logic of PC. This is where PC leads. This is where every higher education institution is going. This is where our public institutions are going. This is eventually our administrators and others, they cave. Because the PC diversity police, the multicultural police, the postmodern, secular, anti-traditionalites, they win, and so they just cave and say, okay, no more pronouns, no more him and her.
No more pronouns. Well, here are some of the terms that they're getting rid of. Don't say forefathers anymore. You have to say ancestors. Don't say cameraman. You have to say camera operator. Don't say man-made. Say artificial. Don't say freshmen, say first-year students.
I thought you were going to say fresh meat.
Fresh meat, right. Don't say mankind, say humankind.
Well, of course, they are fresh meat. But no more anchor men or anchor women either. So you guys are tough luck. I don't know. You're anchor persons.
What about anchor babies?
You're not doing yeoman's work or anchor babies. You're not doing yeoman's work. You're not doing a workman-like performance this morning. No additional man hours for you. I mean, where does it end? What do you say? You run out of a lexicon in this. It's absurdity, and it is exactly the logic of the left leads us to illogical places.
But it's also an attack on openness and free inquiry and plurality. I mean, isn't the whole point of college, it's a safe space for people to let their minds expand, and here's the college saying, no, you will use these words and not those words. It's an attack on openness.
It's only okay in the free speech zone, right, Pete?
Well, yeah, now it's a safe place in which you get to shrink your mind inside your cocoon where you're guarded against anything that would ever offend you. You know who needs to wake up to this? Everybody. The donors. The donor class need to wake up to this, the alumni, and stop giving to their institutions just blindly and start realizing, I'm not wearing a Princeton tie this morning, I'm wearing a Princeton basketball tie. I give to them, I give to ROTC, I give to the conservative publication on campus, but I don't just give to Princeton because Princeton's going to throw money at erasing pronouns and man and women. I mean, it's a left-wing cesspool of political correctness. The donors have power because these people still answer to money and endowments. That's what people have to wake up to.
So smart. I'm looking at one of our cameramen right now who's nodding in agreement.
No, it's a camera person. You're offending America right now.
It is hard to tell.
Pete Hegseth, great to see you, Pete.
I have a fitness instructor who says, can I get an amen? And he goes, I mean, can I get an A woman? I mean, is that what it's coming to? It does seem so silly, doesn't it?
Yes. Pretty silly. Well, speaking of, Hillary Clinton says she's taking the high road, banning foreign donations to her foundation if she becomes president. But is she already secretly breaking her promise? Chris Direwald here to weigh in on that next.
And a small-town fire department forced to remove American flags from their engines. But the fight isn't over yet. The chief and firefighters of that department are ready to battle back, and they are here next hour.